As we have been going into end times Bible prophecy, we have been discussing many different topics. We first started with the blessings and the promises, and last week we started the discussion on the negative parts to the end times. In the last part, we discussed the Antichrist and the agenda surrounding his emergence. In that video, I explained that in the satanic side to these last days, there is a goal by Satan to be like the Most High, and he wants to destroy and pollute as much of our Father's creation as possible. All his agendas are all about destroying our Father's creation. And so right now, the world that we live in, we are completely bombarded with agendas that are all about these two goals: for him to be worshipped like the Most High, and for him to destroy and pollute as much of Yah's creation as he can. In that last video, I explained that there are three main agendas that everything, and I do mean everything happening, is all about bringing about. Those three main agendas are the coming of the lawless one, the coming of a one-world government, and the coming of a one-world religion. Last week, we dealt with the agenda about the coming of the lawless one, and we see how they have been preparing us for this agenda for quite some time. In this part of the series, we need to shift over to the second part of the agenda, which is the coming of a one-world government. The devil wants a one-world government because it is his version of Israel and the kingdom that Yah has promised, but it's all about his dominion. He has a desire that the world submits to him and that he's in control of it. This is another agenda that is right in our faces. And let me tell you that if you're able to identify these agendas that are in place, it can help you as they try to engage you in their mind-controlling objectives. You see, there's a lot happening right now that is all in a direct push towards this one-world government. The thing that should be understood is that the devil, he doesn't want to force people into it because people would rebel against it. He needs everyone to be willing and declare that this is what they want in order for the world to be a better place. That's what he wants people to think. The agenda is completely set for the rise of a one-world government. A world government is in the making, and it is currently waiting for the next crisis in order to come fully into power. But all of that can just be words that are easily ignored or debated against if these words are not being properly explained. You see, though none of these plans are done in private, and they are all in plain sight to see, we have been so programmed to focus only on the news that our mainstream media gives us that we only focus on the points that they want us to know. And while the world moves in one direction in unity with major goals in place, it's the unknowing general public that are blind and only see what is directly in front of them. They see what the people want them to see. We have been conditioned to be reactive instead of proactive. And while they are conditioning us slowly to accept this world government, they are not directly telling us that it's coming. And when it does come, the world will be begging for it without proper understanding of what it truly is. Now, make no mistake, it is coming. There is nothing we can do to avoid it or stop it. This video is not made for you to revolt against it or spark some kind of revolution, because you cannot stop Bible prophecy. You can only determine what side of it you will be on. And so while the majority of us have been unknowingly programmed to accept this when the time is ready, I believe that there should be more of an understanding of what is in front of us and what is to come. So, as we continue discussing the satanic side of the end times, we must discuss the coming one world government that will rise from the ashes. Let's begin. Okay, so let's start in the place that matters first and foremost. You see, I know that there are people that like to play devil's advocate and say, the Bible does not say anything about a one world government. So first thing we must do is go to the Word and place a basis of foundation for what it is that I'm explaining here. We will start in Daniel chapter 7. Daniel's dream was interpreted, and in verses 23 and 24 of the chapter, it explains the fourth beast. It says, the fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on the earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it in pieces. The 10 horns are 10 kings who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. And this is the major Bible prophecy that explains the coming world government. The fourth beast that is different from all other kingdoms before it. You see, it will devour the whole earth. And that seems pretty self-explanatory to me. The kingdom that is different than all other kingdoms before it. It will devour the whole earth. Hence we see a world kingdom. But we don't talk that way today, which is why we say world government. Now, it's also found in Revelation chapter 13. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. He performs great signs, so that even he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. That's Revelation chapter 13, verses 11 through 18. And so, on verses 16 it says, he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So, in order for this type of thing to happen in this world, this must be done through a government or world power. Something that has enough power that says all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, must have a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads in order that they buy or sell. That's controlling the function of buying and selling in this world, and that goes through the government. So in order to control all the buying and selling in this world for everyone, this must be a world government. So these reasons that are spoken of in regards to Bible prophecy are the reasons why I am expecting a world government. Now, as I have explained in other videos, the organization that was built to fulfill this prophecy is here right now. The United Nations was built for this goal. There currently is an agenda that is calling for more control and governance by the United Nations. This is what we know to be the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, also known as Agenda 21. They are not hiding any of this. We have seen events like the Global Citizens Festival that show that there is now an international government that the population of the world are citizens of now. I've spoken about this in other videos as well, but I want you to think about it if you never heard it. They hold this Global Citizens Festival every year. What is a citizen? According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a citizen is a member of a state, native, or naturalized person who owes allegiance to a government and is entitled to protection from it. So, in order for you to be a citizen of somewhere, there must be a government that you owe allegiance to and are entitled to protection of. So being a global citizen means that there must be some form of global government. And this is how subtle they are with telling you what time it is. They are telling you it's here without saying it directly, but our subconscious are being prepared for it. But this is what the fourth beast kingdom will be. It will be like a revived Roman Empire, which is why we see the Roman symbol of peace on the United Nations logo, the olive branch. It will be the completion of the undertaking that was started at Babel, because it will have one ruler like King Nimrod. They will also have one main language, which seems to be English, which is why people fight so hard to keep our Messiah's name in the English tongue, not realizing they are fighting for Babylon. And also they will have a one-world religion. We'll cover that later. The United Nations will not be a conqueror, but the nations of the world will gladly surrender to one body of governance rather than having many world leaders that can provoke war and conflict. And the world will denounce the populist ideas of leaders like Donald Trump, and they will unite under a common goal for the world, and not place one country above the rest. This is the ultimate agenda and goal. The United Nations is one part of the complete symbolism of the beast found in Revelation chapter 13 and the fourth beast of Daniel chapter 7. Its authority will be granted by Satan. So like I showed in the last video, this is just another example of how prepared the world is to be moved into the satanic agenda. Now, if we truly pay attention to what is really going on in this world, it can really help really understand all of these agendas. You see, none of this is happening silently. If you pay attention to all the moving pieces going on in this world, and you understand the full agenda, all this can be very clear to you. Now let me take you back a few years to one of their resources that they use to publicly speak about their agendas. In Klaus Schwab's book, The Great Reset, he spoke about the different agendas that they will be using to bring about change in this world. This was an advertisement about the Great Reset.
We have an incredible opportunity to create entirely new sustainable industries, investing in nature as the true engine of our economy.
The current global crisis has disrupted every aspect of our lives, but it has also presented us with an extraordinary opportunity, a chance to reset and accelerate efforts to improve the state of our world.
Changing our current trajectory will require bold and imaginative action, together with determination and decisive leadership. In order to secure our future and to prosper, we need to evolve our economic model, putting people and planet at the heart of global value creation. If there is one critical lesson we have to learn from this crisis, we need to put nature at the heart of how we operate. We are on the verge of catalytic breakthroughs that will alter our view of what is possible and profitable within the framework of a sustainable future. We need nothing short of a paradigm shift, one that inspires action at revolutionary levels and pace. We simply cannot waste any more time. The only limit is our willingness to act. And the time to act is now.
And that was only 4 years ago. Now they speak about many different types of resets: a monetary reset, societal reset, technological reset. In this part, we're going to reference the geopolitical reset. In this, they talk about a global government. They say, global governance is commonly defined as the process of cooperation amongst transnational actors aimed at providing responses to global problems. The two notions of global governance and international cooperation are so intertwined that it is nigh on impossible for global governance to flourish in a divided world that is retrenching and fragmenting. Sadly, we are now at this critical juncture. Put bluntly, we live in a world in which nobody is really in charge. Therefore, the concern is that without appropriate global governance, we will become paralyzed in our attempts to address and respond to global challenges, particularly when there is such strong dissonance between short-term domestic imperatives and long-term global challenges. This is a major worry, considering that today there is no committee to save the world. So, they are preparing for a world government that has someone in charge, and they say they have no committee to save the world. This is literally Bible prophecy of the book of Revelation jumping into reality. Now here's the thing. If you look at the world today, looking at their mainstream narratives, a world government that's united, this does not look like this is even possible because of how everything is so divided right now. But when you actually review the world and what is going on, you can actually see all these agendas and understand what is actually happening in reality. Like right now, as we see the geopolitical conflicts around the world, we have Russia versus Ukraine, which really equates to Russia versus the United States and Europe, East versus West. We have China versus Taiwan, which really equates to China versus the United States and Asia. I won't include Israel and Hamas because this is more of a religious war. We have South Korea versus North Korea, in which we have Russia's Putin just pledging loyalty to North Korea's Kim Jong-un, whatever his name is. We have Venezuela versus Guyana. We have coups and conflicts in different parts of Africa. We have massive amount of conflict going on all over the world. There is geopolitical conflicts brewing, and they just don't affect the world politically, but more importantly, by trade economically. The trajectory of the Russia-Ukraine conflict will affect Russia's ability to trade with NATO members and the ability of cheap Russian gas to parts of the world. When that war happens, the shutting off of gas for Europe is going to be a big problem. We have increased superpower tensions that have considerable impact on their global economy, and that's what I'm saying. Any disruption in the trade relationship between the United States and China, that will affect everyone. These geopolitical risks are interconnected, and if any of them gets out of hand, they will bring massive problems to the world. You must understand one thing as you look at the world. You must understand that this is all the point. The point is conflict, to bring the world to chaos. Look at the world politically by country and region. The world right now is in a political shift. Besides the main leaders of the nations like Russia and China, who have confirmed their leaders without any political strife, the rest of the world is going through many political changes. What many of us probably don't realize is that it's not only the United States going through political challenges. Right now, the rest of the world is going through political changes as well. For instance, right now in Europe, there's a political rift. The same debates that are in the United States are also happening in Europe. The European Parliament has recently went far right, carrying the same agenda that we have seen with Donald Trump.
Well, in Europe, voters in 27 countries have elected more far-right members to the European Parliament. That body has limited power, but the vote is having a significant impact. The results have prompted French President Emmanuel Macron to call for a snap parliamentary election in his country after suffering a major defeat at the hands of Marine Le Pen's right-wing party.
J'ai décidé de vous redonner le...
I give back to you the choice for the future of our parliament, said French President Emmanuel Macron, dissolving the Republic's legislature in a political earthquake. After France's far-right parties, for the first time, won more seats than the parties he supported in Europe-wide elections for the bloc's 720-seat parliament in Brussels. Macron's call for a snap election starting June 30th comes days after he and President Biden met to mark the 80th anniversary of D-Day. If Macron loses further support, that raises the chance Marine Le Pen's far-right National Party will gain, with talk of telegenic 28-year-old Jordan Bardella, president of France's National Rally Party, becoming premier, and Le Pen possibly becoming president in 2027. Voters in Germany, Italy, Austria, and the Netherlands also sent more far-right candidates, some in Germany campaign using Nazi overtones, to the European Parliament. They include candidates who campaigned against immigrants, against support for Ukraine, against climate change policies, and against dependence on trade with China.
Thank you so much.
You see, it's literally the same problems that we're debating here in the United States. But these things are not just within the European Union. The United Kingdom is doing the same exact thing.
Earlier today, I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July. This election will take place at a time when the world is more dangerous than it has been since the end of the Cold War. Putin's Russia is waging a brutal war in Ukraine and will not stop there if he succeeds. That war has also made it all too clear the risk to our energy security. In the Middle East, the forces of Islamist extremism threaten regional and ultimately global stability. These tensions are exploited by extremists who seek to undermine our values and divide our society here at home. China is looking to dominate the 21st century by stealing a lead in technology. And migration is being weaponized by hostile states to threaten the integrity of our borders. And these uncertain times call for a clear plan and bold action to chart a course to a secure future. You must choose in this election who has that plan, who is prepared to take the bold action necessary to secure a better future for our country and our children.
Right now, they're in debates about an upcoming general election that was recently called by the Prime Minister. They're debating the same problems: taxes, climate change, immigration.
Where is the money coming from?
We will raise specific taxes, and we've been really clear what they are. The super rich should be paying their tax. I want to get rid of the equity loopholes that are there, again, for the super rich. And I think the oil and gas companies should be paying their fair share towards our energy. So we will raise those.
You see that left-wing guy, he sounds just like Joe Biden. I want you to know that's not a coincidence. They are arguing about immigration, and the current Prime Minister, he has even proposed sending the immigrants to Rwanda, where he would pay them and support them.
After months of gridlock and days of parliamentary ping-pong, the UK government's Rwanda Asylum Bill is finally to become law. The House of Lords eventually conceded late last night, withdrawing the final amendment that was holding up the legislation. It's a relief for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who hopes that, barring any last-minute legal objections, flights to Rwanda could begin within 10 to 12 weeks. Official figures show the backlog of people waiting to be removed from the UK rose from nearly 1,800 in July last year to more than 50,000 a week ago. This is the moment the bill was passed.
My Lords, Rwanda is a safe country that has proven time and again its ability to offer asylum seekers a safe haven and a chance to build a new life. Rwanda has a strong history of providing protection to those that need it and currently hosts over 135,000 refugees and asylum seekers who have found safety and sanctuary there. There are binding provisions in the treaty which place obligations on the government of Rwanda to provide for those relocated under the partnership. And my Lords, this is long overdue, but I would also like to put on record my thanks to the officials in the government of Rwanda for all their efforts in delivering this partnership. I beg to move.
The question is that motion A be agreed to. As many as are of that opinion will say content. Contrary not content. The contents have it.
Immigration around the world is a big deal, and that's because the move needs to be a world without borders. Recently in South Africa, the ANC, the African National Congress, the left-wing party from Nelson Mandela, recently lost its overwhelming majority in the government.
In South Africa, with almost all results from this week's election now in, the African National Congress, the oldest liberation movement on the African continent, has lost its outright majority for the first time in 30 years, since the end of apartheid. Many voters blamed the ANC for high levels of crime and corruption and failures in the supply of basic necessities such as water and electricity. And so begins a new era in South African politics as President Cyril Ramaphosa, who himself helped negotiate the end of apartheid, begins the search for coalition partners.
Though their politics in that country are quite different, their issues are focused upon the economy and unemployment and infrastructure. But for the first time in 30 years, there's a political shift going on there. In 30 years. This is occurring all over the world right now. There is change happening within the geopolitics of the world. India, Pakistan, South Korea, Mexico getting its first women president. And with all of that, none of the elections more polarizing and consequential than the election in the United States, where the rest of the world is watching and waiting to see what comes about from it. The point that I am communicating is that this political noise, though of course it's not new, there's always been political rifts. But if you understand what you're seeing right now, it can make it clearer about what is happening in the world. You see, the world is in disorder, disarray. There are no clear leaders in this world. There is no unity in ideas, and there is political strife. The world is arguing over the same issues within each country that no one has an answer for. And as Klaus Schwab said, we live in a world in which nobody is really in charge. And today there is no committee to save the world. So let me ask you, as you look over this agenda, do you believe that the people of the world would accept the beast which devours the whole earth if everything happening in the world was going good? Of course not. Notice that these people are holding snap elections all because there is no unity and they want the people to know about it. Look at the protests they're having in France. These are organized and staged. Do not look at these political events standing alone. Couple them with the geopolitical events going around the world and also with the economy. You see, we have war on the horizon, with NATO right now saying that they're putting their nuclear weapons on standby.
Revealed that there were live consultations between members on taking missiles out of storage and placing them on standby. This as Russia and China continue investing heavily in modern weaponry, including nuclear arsenal.
While they're reporting heavy about Russia in the Caribbean with military drills. War is coming, and as I explained earlier, it does not only bring physical conflict, but it interrupts trade, which will put more stress on the world than ever. We are moving towards a geopolitical reset as intended, and all of this is about the goal of a one-world government that must emerge. They've alluded to this in the movies as well.
Three things fall! And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one!
Created a world so chaotic that humanity is finally ready to sacrifice its freedom to gain its security. Once the purification process is complete, Hydra's new world order will arise.
Confident the missile attack will succeed, it is only prudent that we now take cautionary steps to ensure the continuation of our way of life, to guarantee that there will be enough of us left to rebuild a new world in the unlikely event that the comets do strike the Earth.
We knew that despite all the diplomacy and the handshaking and the rhetoric, that to build a really better world sometimes means having to tear the old one down.
If you look at the world for what it truly is and understand that all these events are happening because of satanic agendas, it will help you detach from them and not be caught in the middle. Those outside in France protesting, do you think that they really understand that this is a big agenda about world governance? No. They have problems and they think the government should be fixing them. And that's what people think. This is the same with the United States election that is about to get underway. People are really expecting these people to fix problems that they've never fixed before. And with all the controversy that's already happened with Donald Trump being convicted on felonies and then Hunter Biden getting convicted, there's a lot going on. We are coming up to the first debate, I think it's next week. We'll see what comes from that, if it even happens. But either way, you should not be expecting for problems to be solved anywhere that you live in this world. I don't care where you are. They are setting us up so that we desire their world government. You see, the mistake that we make is looking at the overall goal of world government, and then we say, because we do not see this full power structure in existence yet, we want that to mean that it's far from us. For the majority, people are only looking for the end, but not really watching for the progression. The world will not just one day move from the old world order to the new world agenda by surprise. It one day may seem like that, but it does not happen this way. Along with changing the world structure and gaining the legal and political authority with acceptance by all nations, they also need the world population to be ready to accept it. This does not happen all at once, but by a slow process of mental transformation. It is something that is slowly introduced over time that is allowed to marinate in the minds of the world.
The walls between the countries with the most and those with the least cannot stand. The walls between races and tribes, natives and immigrants, Christians and Muslims and Jews cannot stand. These now are the walls we must tear down.
I want to tell you something right now. I wish you could see what I see. Because when I look out at all of this, I say this is how you change the world. You don't have to wait for anybody. You can do it on your own.
We need a movement of global citizens, from world leaders to people everywhere, to help solve the world's biggest problems. I've signed up. I hope you will too, and encourage your own network of people to become global citizens.
But we must act as one.
I am a global citizen.
I am a global citizen.
I am a global citizen.
So that when the major chaos occurs, they are able to easily suggest the solution, and we will agree and beg for it. We saw this very clearly with the pandemic and what the WHO did. You weren't even able to speak against what they declared as fact. Another major barrier to understanding this coming world government is accounting for the role of the United States. Because the United States is the major world power right now, and has been for the last 70 years or so, it's hard for many to come to terms with this coming world government without the United States in control. For many, all they can see is what they've seen for their lifetimes, a world controlled and dominated by the United States. And so it's hard for many to come to terms with a world government run by the United Nations and not by the United States. That's also why people love to believe that the Antichrist is from the United States. But this is what bringing in the old world into the new world is. In this new world agenda, no nation will be above another. No national currency will be above another. All those ideas are ideals of populism. And in the new world agenda, there will be no place for populism. No room for nations prioritizing themselves over the rest of the world.
And yes, together, we will make America great again.
So in understanding what's to come, there must be a different thought of the role of the United States. And that reality is not hard to see when reviewing the current world that we live in objectively. I mean, right now you have the rise of China as the second world power, coupled with the diminishing influence of the United States in world affairs. There has been the emergence of Russia and China assisting nations around the world more than ever, as they are taking the place of the United States. We have the imminent devaluing and rejection of the United States dollar and its SWIFT payment system used around the world. You have the world changing its reliance on oil, and Saudi Arabia just withdrew from the petrodollar agreement that had forced the world to buy United States debt. You have the United States population on verge of civil war between the haves and the have-nots, racial tensions, political tensions with Democrats and Republicans, social tensions between the LGBT and those that oppose it, and even religious tensions. While there is also a tremendous escalating national debt that is continuously rising, never falling, with no consideration or answers to solve it. We have these conflicts popping up all over the world, which the United States has a hand in one way or another. We have coups happening in Africa that they're saying the United States were a part of that is failing. With all these problems, there's obviously a change coming in the world order, and many are not mindful of it because they can only imagine a world that the United States dominates. But when the United States loses its global power and significance, and the world moves away from the United States dollar, which has been overprinted and oversupplied, there will be a new order that arises from the ashes, a phoenix rising from the ashes. And this new order is the fourth beast, the kingdom that will devour the earth. So please understand that in understanding Bible prophecy, you have to have a mindset of the decline of leadership and role of the United States in order for Bible prophecy to be fulfilled. You have to mentally deal with the fall of Babylon. And when you have this understanding, it helps you deal better with this current world that you live in. I mean, imagine tying your life to the future of the United States when they have repeatedly told you the future is collapse and fall. All of this does not happen all at once though, like I keep saying, but by a slow process of legal, political, and mental transformation. So the question is, has this started to happen yet, or are they still planning in secret with no actions? And the answer is that all this has already started to happen, and when this is understood, then it makes the matrix a little easier to discern through. Let's start with this.
In the year 2000, leaders from 189 countries agreed on a vision for the new millennium. They wanted to end extreme poverty in all of its forms. So they made a list of 8 goals, called the Millennium Development Goals, and they wanted to achieve these goals in 15 years. One of the leading organizations working to fulfill these goals has been the United Nations Development Program, or UNDP. We're present in more than 170 countries and territories. We championed the goals so that people everywhere would know what they were and how people could do their part. We funded projects that help fulfill the goals. So in September 2015, they agreed on a new set of goals to help finish the work we all started in 2000. The new goals are called the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. We have made significant progress in the last 15 years, and we think there's plenty of room for hope, for action, in the next 15 years. Today, the world is more connected by technology. We know more about how to balance the 3 pillars of sustainable development: social progress, economic growth, and environmental protection. However, our climate is changing. Our planet is transforming, and there are more people on Earth than ever before. We at UNDP believe everyone can have enough of what they need living within our planetary boundaries, and we are working around the world to make this happen. Our goals to reach by 2030 are to eradicate extreme poverty, protect our environment, and much more. UNDP has 50 years of experience working with countries to make this a more prosperous, healthy, inclusive, and sustainable world. Join us.
This is about a world government that has already manifested, but not fully come into full reality for the masses. The foundation of it, like I keep showing, it's already in place, but the system is not ready for the world to accept yet because they're not ready for it. And it will not happen until the old order is done away with. The next major crisis of this world will spur a world government and its new world leader. And the unfortunate reality is that the majority of the world is just simmering, waiting for the elite's next step to be brought to the light. What the world does not know is that the majority of the world population are just waiting for a change. They are waiting for a new leader with new ideas that can get something done. And this will all come from the beast coming into power. In regards to end times Bible prophecy, this is the point that we are at right now. The foundation is set, The people are ready. They just need the right crisis in order to put forth the agenda that the whole world will accept. They have created the conditions in the world that are making the world population desperate for leadership. And when the crisis comes, people will be desperate for leadership as they are already desperate right now. If you understand Bible prophecy and then understand what is going on in this world, it can help you navigate and understand that you want to be truly separate from all of this. Don't fall into politics. Don't fall into the intentional divides that were created. Don't fall for the Trump-Biden nonsense or the political divides in your own country. Your expectations must be in reality. And the reality is that there is only divide and disorder so they can provide their unity and order. And though everyone in the world may be in support of it when it comes, and it may finally be what everyone is looking for, understand that it was all carefully orchestrated in order for the world to accept a satanic agenda. The one world government is coming in order so that Satan has authority over every person on this earth. And the only ones that will be against it are the ones who were prepared to stand for righteousness and stand for our Father's kingdom. I want you to understand that there's only one option if you do not want to partake in this coming New World agenda, and that is submitting to the true God of Yasharel and belief in his Son, whom he sent. You must repent of your sins and become born again. You must receive eternal life. You must have a personal relationship with our Father. The scriptures say, "Therefore, since Messiah suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves also with the same mind, for he who has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh for the lust of men, but for the will of Elohim. For we have spent enough of our past time in doing the will of the Gentiles, when we walked in lewdness, lust, drunkenness, revelries, drinking parties, and abominable idolatries. In regard to these, they think it is strange that you do not run with them in the same flood of dissipation, speaking evil of you. They will give an account to him who is ready to judge the living and the dead. For this reason, the gospel was preached also to those who are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to Elohim in the spirit. But the end of all things is at hand. Therefore be serious and watchful in your prayers." That's 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. Take that advice seriously. Please listen. Bible prophecy is upon us. And I understand that it's easier to ignore all of this and just hope for the best, but this strategy will not reap you happiness in the end. You are just delaying the inevitable. It's easy to write all this off as unfounded conspiracy theory, but that view is clearly based upon ignorance. I'm not speaking on things I think, but they are not clear. I'm giving you documented evidence that you can go and look up yourself. I did not create these events in these organizations. I'm just aware of them and what they're doing, and I desire that you are awake and aware as well. These subjects are so very deep, and I'm only hovering surface level to bring awareness. Please understand you cannot stop this from happening. All you can do is determine what side you'll be on and if you'll be ready for it. This new world agenda is upon you. The change is happening, and they're preparing us for it. Don't live your days in ignorance and focus on sports, your career, video games, social media, celebrity gossip, political news, etc., etc. Don't be one distracted with all that while ignoring the course and direction this world is clearly on. I don't know if you have weeks, months, or years, but I do know that the world will not be able to sustain itself in its current condition for much longer. A global reset is a must. A financial collapse is imminent. Just look at what they did with the petrodollar. The dollar cannot sustain its value and use forever, especially when they got rid of the one reason why there is demand. Just look at this major news about Saudi Arabia breaking away from the petrodollar, and I really want you to think about how such an important topic has barely been covered in the mainstream media, and the US stock market barely has flinched. Ask yourself why and how that could even be possible. War between the most powerful nations is brewing. Again, NATO is on standby with nuclear weapons, and Russia is doing military drills in the Caribbean, making friends with North Korea. The evidence is clear, and with all that other stuff going on, look at the moral fabric of our world. Wickedness is in the abundance. This world is clearly moving towards change, and this part of the series is just tying Bible prophecy to what you're looking at when you hear the mainstream news. You must live with your eyes open and understand that change is upon us. They are going to bring chaos to the world in order for the world to accept the order, and everyone, for the most part, will accept it if they do not ground themselves up in the word and faith. I wanted you to know that there is a world government that is formed and is waiting for the right time to come into power. If you have gotten this far, you are now aware and you're informed. The only question is what you do. Come to our Savior now, find Him, and submit to His will. Do not let temporary distractions keep you from eternal treasures. Be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please do not forget to like it and share this video with others. If you have not done so already, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Yah willing, I upload every Friday. Also, please don't forget to follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on my website, truthunedited.com. As always, I'd like to thank all of you who support this ministry. Thank you. Your contributions truly bless this ministry and make a huge difference, and I'm very appreciative for your support and your blessings. I'm truly thankful for you. Thank you for listening to Yah's call on your heart. Be blessed. Okay, thanks again everyone for watching. I love you all.